with this. Hot takes for the season. We're each going to give, a couple hot takes. See what if we can get a couple of these right. Gerald, I'll let you start. What is your first hot take for the season?
My first hot take, and this is it might be spicy. I think the Texas Longhorns win the Joe Moore Award for the top offensive line in the country. I think that there is enough talent on this unit that if Kyle Flood has developed this group to the level that we think they do, right? Texas, one of the big storylines in the offseason is that Texas has lost a bunch. They lost 4 of their 5 starters from a year ago. A lot of these guys had rotational play last year, so really it's like 3.5 starters, but whatever, right? I think the level of talent Texas brings in, I think the level of talent that Texas has, and Kyle Flood's track record as a developer and as someone who can get it done. He's got multiple Joe Moore awards in his back pocket. So ultimately, I think that this team has the goods to win the Joe Moore Award this year.
I actually don't think that's like a crazy hot take because I think Trevor Gooseby has a chance to be drafted just as highly as like Kelvin Banks, honestly. I think he's got that type of talent. And I think the interior of the offensive line is going to be really good in the run game. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a stretch. And I think there's only like 2 to 3 offensive lines I look at and like, damn, they're kind of leading right now. Because that's how these awards work. Like, you have to have a lot of offseason hype going in. Because let's be honest here, I don't think Texas, we were in the final 3 last year. I don't think we were a top 3 offensive line last year, but we made the final 3.
And if Texas has a repeat, like 1,000-yard rusher and Arch looks good, like those are the things that people are going to look for when they're looking for the offensive line. So like there's going to be enough shine on Texas's performance this year that there'll be eyes enough that I think this could happen. I'm not a hot takes guy, so if my takes aren't spicy enough, I apologize. Like spicy food, not a spicy takes guy.
It's still pretty hot. I mean, no one is predicting that. I don't even know if they have odds for the season for that type of stuff, but they probably wouldn't be that high. I think Miami's probably number 1 right now. They have a lot of guys returning and with their offensive line coach and everything. So I'm going to kind of go off of that. I think Texas, does it not once, not twice, but 3 times now. It'll be the 3rd time in a row Texas has the Outland Trophy Award come back to Austin, Texas. Whether that be someone like a Colin Simmons, a Trevor Gooseby, or someone like that, I think someone's going to win that in the interior or on this defensive line or the offensive line. I think they have a really good shot at it. I was actually kind of surprised Kelvin Banks won it last year. That puts us at 2. Tavondre Sweat was the first. Kelvin Banks was the second. And I think there's some guys on this team that could be the third. If it's not the guys I just mentioned, I could see an Alex January popping off, or I could see a Rod Watson really popping off on this team. Maybe DJ Campbell. DJ Campbell finally gets to the front of the line and does what he's supposed to do. He has the talent to do that. So I think there's enough talent on this team where you could get another Outland Trophy back to Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I think DJ Campbell is probably like the dark horse for it. He's a guy, we've said it multiple times. I've said it multiple different ways. Like, if DJ Campbell lives up to the billing, lives up to what we all know he has or should have or believe he had in the tank, like DJ Campbell has the goods to be one of the best offensive linemen in the country, period. Like, he has the goods to be one of the first linemen off the board come NFL draft time, like I guess March, right? So like if this line is as good as we think they can be and as good as they should be with the level of talent they have, the level of development from Kyle Flood, I don't think that's too far-fetched. I mean, I think, again, DJ Campbell, we saw Trevor Gooseby. Folks are really high on Trevor Gooseby, man. He is a guy who I think a lot of folks have eyes on. I think he's a guy who, came in last year, didn't really see a demonstrable difference between his play and Kelvin Banks' play last year, who, again, Kelvin Banks hasn't given up a single pressure in the NFL preseason thus far. Guy's pretty stinking good.
No, that's very true. I'm going to let you go and get, if you have another one, let's hear it.
So my second hot take, I guess maybe not a hot take, but Texas has not had 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown wide receiver since, I believe, Quan Cosby in 2008, and I think that streak ends this year. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be your man Jack Endries. It could be one of the thousands of wide receivers that Texas has, but I think they're going to push the ball down the field. I think they're going to stretch it. I think we're going to see a lot more big chunk touchdowns, and generally when you see big chunk touchdowns and an offense that's expected to score a lot of points, those two things are going to happen. So I think Texas, for the first time in 17 years, has a receiver that hits 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't hate that prediction at all. I think Ryan Wingo, I talked about it last week, at 9 was Matthew Golden last year. I think Ryan Wingo is going to have 10 or 11 touchdowns this year. I really believe that. Now, 1,000 yards, that's going to be the hardest part because there's so many mouths to feed on this offense, very deep. So we'll see what happens. But Sark also doesn't like to rotate. So we'll have to see about that. Maybe if the rotation isn't deep, then we'll see that guy. I'm going to go with this. I've been saying it for the past 3-4 months now almost. I think Jack Andrews is going to have the best season in the history of Texas football at the tight end position. I think you're going to see something in the regular season of 50 to 55 catches, 600 to 700 yards, and 6 to 7 plus touchdowns. That's what I think he's going to do. I think he's also going to be a very good blocker, more of the Gunnar Helm type blocking when it comes to that than Jatavian Sanders, who is not a good blocker at all. So I think Jack Andrews is in line for a really, really big season.
Yeah, and I think, tight ends in this offense can eat if they're blockers, right? And I think Jack Andrews is a blocker, and so I think he's going to eat. And again, I think there is an opportunity for Texas to become like tight end U, right? Because they had Jatavian Sanders, who, again, I think Jatavian Sanders maybe wanted to block, and then you look at his like combine numbers, you're like, could he like even do the thing? But Gunnar Helm made a name for himself as a guy. It's why he got playing time, and it turned into being, the team leader in receptions a year ago. So I think, the Jack Andrews take is not a hot take today, but when you first made the claim months ago, it was very spicy. And I really appreciate you sticking to your guns on that, because that is a lot of people would have backed off of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was, on that train early, and then you see on Texas putting out he's like insane in practice, a lot better than the coaches thought he was going to be, and then other guys, Orange Bloods and them, have been putting out other stuff of he's really good. He has the chance to win the Mackey Award, and I think odds-wise they do have an odds for that. I think he's number 2 or 3. I think he's behind Max Flair and Eli Stauer. So I was on it early. I'm glad I have a co-host now to say, hey, no, he was on this earlier than most people. You can tell him I was here first. But yeah, I just really believe he's going to have a really big season, because the Sark offense is built for a tight end to have a really good season. And you see all this eye candy and stuff like that. And then you see, I still remember the Alabama game, Jatavian Sanders wide open by 20 yards, because guess what? All the eye candy in front, everyone got lost. He's open and he gets to run freely. And guess what? Jack Andrews is fast enough. That could be a touchdown now. Whereas Jatavian Sanders, no offense, really doesn't have the high end speed. It would turn into a big game, but not a touchdown.
Yeah. And again, I think there is, when you have a young quarterback, I think that's the other thing that's playing into this, like having a young quarterback who, Arch is going to push the ball down the field, but I also think he's smart enough. He's probably heard it from both of his uncles and his grandfather 1,001 times. You're not going to go broke making a profit. So take the check down, take the check. So I think if the check down is there, I think your boy Andrews is going to feast. I want to back up to my claim though, for the all you got to do to hit 1,000 yards, if you play 14 games, is hit 71 yards a game, right? 70 yards a game in 14 games, right? Because if Texas makes it to the playoffs, they're going to play 13. If Texas plays for a SEC championship, they'll probably play 14, right? So like, all you got to do is hit 70 yards. So I want to throw that out there. Maybe not as spicy as I once thought.
No, it's not that crazy. I think it's definitely possible. And like, they have 3 games after Ohio State where, a wide receiver can feast versus those teams. And they could have 100 yards receiving at halftime if they break a tackle and go for like a 60, 70-yard play. So it's definitely possible. Do you have another hot take, Gerald?
I've got one more. Colin Simmons will not lead the team in tackles for loss. I don't think Colin Simmons leads the team for tackles. And that's not any shot at Colin Simmons. It's actually praising Colin Simmons. I think Colin Simmons is going to be such a gravitational force on this defense that it's going to open up things for everybody else. I think offenses are going to look for Colin Simmons. They're going to slide coverage to Colin Simmons. They're going to leave an extra blocker in to take care of Colin Simmons, which means that a guy like Ethan Burke or Colton Vasek on the other side, or Anthony Hill coming off the edge, or Leon Galefau, or whoever's playing whoever ends up in that nickel spot, right? One of those guys I think is going to be able to have the advantage, right? I talk about it all the time. Playing football is just a numbers game. And when Colin Simmons is going to be this gravitational force, he's going to occupy multiple guys. They're going to have multiple resources blocking him. It's going to open things up for everybody else. So again, this is actually praising Colin Simmons. I think Colin Simmons is going to be such a gravitational force on that defense that somebody else is going to feast because teams are having to pay so much attention to him.
Victor, I will answer that question, or we'll answer that question right after I give my last hot take. So I said last week, and I'm sticking to it, and I looked at, the people on the team. I've looked at past years. I think Texas is going to have 5 guys with 5+ sacks. I really believe that. I think that's going to happen. I think you're going to have someone, Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, I think, guaranteed to do that. That's 2 guys. So then you're
Yeah.
looking for someone like an Ethan Burke, a Colton Fossick, a Brad Spence, a Trey Moore, a Zena Umlazulu, a Lance Jackson, a Justice Terry. I just think there's so many guys that can get to that 5 sack number that you're going to get that. So I'm going with 5 guys that can get 5 or more sacks this season, which is crazy to say because, guys, we're 3 years away from Ben Davis leading the team with, I believe, 2.5 sacks, which is freaking pathetic to look back on. I think you honestly, if that's the number, I think there's 8 guys that can get 2.5 sacks on this team.
Yeah, I think you have a multiple defensive tackles with 2.5 sacks at this point. Like that somebody mentioned that to me the other day. That like we're just like 2 years removed from Ben Davis being the team's sack leader. I'm just like, it's wild to think how quickly this thing has turned. It's insane to think how quick it turned.